You got into bodybuilding 12 years ago. You moved pretty quickly through the ranks. You're now an IFBB professional. You walked the Olympia stage in 2022. You've lived a life of discipline that many people can't imagine. What's one small habit that you've ingrained in yourself that kind of changed everything for you?
I would say, I just think that at that time, I still was trying to grow and learn how to be a man. A lot of the decisions that I made prior, I still were being affected by because of the decisions that I made that made me get expelled from college. If Aaron Donald is way more famous than Seth Feroce and has way more money than Seth Feroce, he texts me back. And for them to cut me because of Facebook posts, I know a lot of shit. And when I tell you I know a lot of shit, I know a lot of shit. I've been there for 5 years. I've been there the whole time.
Welcome to Barbells and Bourbon Strength in Stories. I am your big, bald, bearded, barbell lifting, bourbon drinking son of a bitch, Shaun. And joining me today is Doug Connor.
What's going on, big dog?
Welcome to our home, Doug.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
You brought a special guest with you, Kayla, your wife.
Most definitely. My wife came by to, keep an eye on me.
She's the moderator, right?
Yeah.
Keep you out of trouble. She's off camera, but we're going to involve her every once in a while in this conversation.
That's a bet.
But Doug, you got into bodybuilding 12 years ago. You moved pretty quickly through the ranks. You're now an IFBB professional. You walked the Olympia stage in 2022. You've lived a life of discipline that many people can't imagine. What's one small habit that you've ingrained in yourself that kind of changed everything for you?
I would say a habit. I mean, the habit was exercising. But it was also just being relentless in, exercising and staying consistent.
Were you unhealthy?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I was unhealthy. I was depressed, stressed. I was expelled from college in 2007 for some, multiple criminal charges. I was a good student, but I had bad habits outside of school. Because grades were never an issue, but, I was unfortunately a product of my environment, in an environment I had no business being, doing those things. And a lot of things caught up to me. And I was expelled from college in 2007, February, actually. And I was a senior and I was expected to graduate in May of 2007. And that unfortunately didn't happen. So when I got expelled from school, it was extremely depressing,
Even though you did it to yourself.
Yeah, I shot myself in the foot, and I was the one in the family that people had high expectations to because, my pops was in the military, my pops is a hard-nosed, disciplined, I love having conversations with him now because I appreciate all of the things he did and how he raised me. He gave me that foundation, him and my mom.
Yeah.
I was one of those, I wouldn't say privileged because, my parents weren't rich or anything like that, but I had parents that provided for me. So the things that I wound up doing, I really had no business doing. Coming from my environment, people who's dealt a certain hand often have, different success in that area because that's they had no other option. They didn't have a mom. They didn't have a dad. Sure. For me, I had that. And, my childhood wasn't perfect, being an adult now and realizing a lot of things that happened, I told my parents they made it look easy. Being a parent now, I have a 19-year-old in college and my daughter's 14, and being a parent now at my age, it's bittersweet, and I enjoy those conversations with my dad because he gave me that foundation to where, everybody has their trials and tribulations, sure. Mines were self-inflicted. Typically usually are, and I was able to pull myself out of that rut when I found just fitness. When I got expelled from school, I played football. I went to Till College. I graduated high school in 2002. I went to Woodland Hills High School. And when I went to Woodland Hills, we were a powerhouse. My senior year, we were ranked number 3 in the country. We were in the USA Today paper. My quarterback was Steve Breston. He was the best in the East Coast. He ended up going to University of Michigan and having a stellar career in college and in the pros. He actually came when I qualified for the Olympia. He actually came to Vegas and celebrated with me. Yeah, it was
awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely an awesome moment. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a childhood friend that I watched have success. And when I had a little bit of success, he came.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, and showed love and support. So, that was a very interesting thing. But growing up in Pittsburgh, I was expected to do some pretty cool things, as I stated, football was life for me when I was in high school. And then growing up in Pittsburgh at that time, football was everything.
Life
yeah,
to the city.
Friday night lights were, it was standing room only, I have so many fond memories of high school. High school was great. It's actually when I met my wife, you know what I'm saying, in high school. And after high school, attending Till College, it was a great experience. Coming from Allegheny County and understanding the differences in living in Pennsylvania and how many rural areas there are in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you drive 5 miles and you're in a completely different culture sometimes, right?
So when you drive an hour and a half, 2 hours in one direction, you can be in the sticks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was very I had a great time up at Till College. I would never paint a bad light on that situation. You know how they say a bad chapter don't make a bad book. And I honestly believe I went through a lot of the things that I went through so that my son doesn't go through those things now. I was able to say things to my son before he went to college that my dad wasn't able to say to me. He didn't go to college. He went straight into the military when he graduated from high school. So, my childhood was, if I left the house and I didn't make my bed, best believe when I got home, it was problems. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't it funny how that small mistake of not making your bed had such grand repercussions back then?
Man.
But now kids get away with murder.
Man, listen.
Like they're
Growing
stealing
up-
cars and getting a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't say my dad ruled with an iron fist, but he was assertive and to the point.
And you respected him.
Yeah, and he was able to get me to understand that we weren't friends, but I'm the person who loves you the most, and you're not gonna like everything that I do and say to you, but there's a reason behind it.
And you might not understand
Exactly,
it now.
because you're too young to understand these things. It's funny because looking back, man, I remember a lot of the things that my dad used to do with me when I was a kid. He used to always play mind games with me. So I have fond memories of being 3-4 years old, and he would get a deck of cards. He would lay the deck of cards out in rows, and we would play memory. You flip a card over, and then you try to match it with another card. And obviously the first time you're going to miss, but the goal is to remember where the cards are. I always tell my pops, it felt like he trained me for bodybuilding in regards to planting seeds in me that would sprout when I became an adult. When I look back at what I've done just in the past 10 years, it's like a movie. I swear to God, I just, because I didn't get into bodybuilding for anything other than I needed something to do.
Yeah. Get yourself out of your depression, get healthier. That was pretty much it.
Yeah. So, ironically enough, like I started working out because I felt like I needed a change, and my wife had gotten pregnant, and I had a son, And then she got pregnant, and I swear it scared the shit out of me, bro. Like, I don't remember a fear like that. I've had a gun pointed at me. I've been shot at. I remember her telling me that and just feeling like, oh shit.
What were you so afraid of?
I didn't know if I could take care of 2 kids. You know, at that time, I was barely able to take care of one, you know.
Did you feel like you weren't doing a good job with the one?
I just think that at that time, I still was trying to grow and learn how to be a man. And a lot of the decisions that I made prior, I still were being affected by because of the decisions that I made that made me get expelled from college, you know. So when I got kicked out of college, it was hard to find a job, like real shit. The only job I could get were selling phones in the mall. Because they didn't do background checks. Yeah, you know.
From college.
And I remember, like, you know, it's funny as hell now, you know, looking back, you know, I was that dude in the middle of the mall. They'd be like, yo, you need a phone? I got a phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, you know, that was the only job I could get. They didn't do background checks, you know. I just spoke at an event at the Jewish Health Foundation just on Friday. And I was telling them a story about when I remember I had got this job and it only paid $11.25 an hour. But I remember being like, oh, this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the other jobs I had was like $8 an hour, $7 an hour. And I remember being able to get that job. And it was an overnight gig too, so then I could do something early in the day if I could find another job. And I'm like, I could make like, it wouldn't be $20 an hour, but I'd have 2 jobs. You know, that was my mindset at the time. So I remember I go on an interview goes good. I get the job. That same week, I had a good friend that lived in Ohio. His name was Matt, and he committed suicide. And I wanted to go to his funeral, but I couldn't go to his funeral because I had just got that job, and I had to go to the training. Like, I couldn't. Like, I needed that job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, I'm like, I needed that job. So I didn't go. I couldn't go to his funeral. And on the 3rd day of training, one of the workers came in and pulled me out of training and told me to grab my book and everything. So I was confused. Like, I didn't know what was going on. And then they walked me in this room, and it's this long table, and everybody's sitting around the table. And then they just said, Dad got my criminal record background check, and they was like, we just got your criminal background, and we gotta let you go. We can't let you, work. And I was pissed.
Yeah, you missed your freaking friend's funeral because of this.
Yeah, I remember going in my car crying, feeling like, I immediately start thinking about selling drugs.
Because it's easy money.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I got in trouble for when I was in school. I was selling drugs, and and I wasn't like big time or anything like that. But at that time, I was young and naive, and I hated asking my dad for money. And it was like one of them decisions where I remember my dad at the time was stationed in Bahrain. He missed my graduation because he was in the military. He got reported back to active duty. So when I graduated from high school, I was 9/11. Like, I remember sitting in class and my teacher turning on the TV, and we're watching the planes hit the tower. Like, I remember this vividly. So, my pops missed my graduation. He's in Bahrain, and he sent me $100, and back in the early 2000s, $100 is pretty good money. You know what I'm saying? Especially being in college. But I remember I spent it, and I needed more money. It was probably like sometime in September. And I remember calling and asking him for money, and he got pissed, and he had like an attitude, and I didn't like that. But he was like, all right, I'm gonna give you another $100, and I better last you the rest of the semester. And I'm like, how the fuck this gonna last me the rest of the semester? You know what I'm saying? Right. But my dad didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And I know that my dad also had his issues and things that he was dealing with at the time. But I'm too young to process all this. I'm young. I'm in college. I need bread, you know what I'm saying? So, swear to God, I was like, all right, I'll take it. I took the $100. You know what I did? I bought an ounce of weed for $99.
To sell?
Yeah, I broke it down, and that was how I started selling weed. And I really was only selling weed to people that I knew.
You were a businessman.
Yeah, because I wasn't trying to be nothing, So it's kind of like the same thing. Like I didn't start selling drugs to like, become a big time drug dealer or anything. I really just wanted some extra cash. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it evolved into that. You know what I'm saying? Because what I also found is coming from Allegheny County and being in Mercer County, rules are different and things are different. So what I was able to get for $90 in Pittsburgh, I could sell for $225 in Mercer County. So then it was like, click. Oh shit. I remember being at a party after a game. I was one of the only freshmen that started and played, at Teal. It's funny. I remember when I got there, I was supposed to play running back. I had lost all this weight. I came into camp at like 175 pounds. I was running like a 4.4, 4.5 40. And they put me at fullback. And not only did they put me at fullback, they had me last on the fucking depth chart. Out of 8 fullbacks, I was the last one. And I remember being so angry, I told my cousin, I'm not talking to nobody until we put the pads on. And before I got to Teal hadn't had a winning season since 1973. They had lost to Washington Jefferson for 26 years in a row. At that time, I want to say 23, 24 times in a row. Because while I was there, but I wasn't playing at the time because I quit because of my issues there. The team that I came in with wound up becoming the first team to go to the playoffs, beat Washington Jefferson for the first time in 26, 27 years. And they beat them on their homecoming. We changed the winning culture up there, So as a freshman up there, I had a lot of pull because I was a starter and I earned my stripes the first day of pads. So coming from Woodland Hills in high school, I hadn't lost a game, and only games I lost were in the playoffs. I in high school, I never knew what it felt like to lose a Friday night game and come to practice the following Monday. I've never experienced that. I lost 3 games. My sophomore year, we lost to Erie Prep in the state semifinal in Altoona. They had Bob Sanders. You remember Bob Sanders? Yeah. He played for Erie Prep. He was a fucking stud, bro. Oh, solid wall, 185 pounds rock. You know what I'm saying?
I interviewed Pittsburgh Dave. He's the barber up at Steel City Barber Lounge up by Ross Park Mall. He went to high school with Gronk.
Yeah, so Gronk went to my school too, but he was way later than me. Woodland Hills has a really rich tradition in football. The ironic thing is there would be way more if the streets didn't get to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I grew up in Wilkinsburg. A lot of my friends grew up in Braddock, and those are kind of like have always been like rival neighborhoods. I remember going into Woodland Hills when my dad moved me out of Wilkinsburg. I came into Woodland Hills and he moved me out of Wilkinsburg because I was in the 7th grade. I was skipping school. I got caught stealing in the mall. It's funny, like not like even just talking to you now, I'm looking back like, damn, I had a tendency to do
Dumb shit.
Yeah. So when I was in 7th grade, one of my good friends, Brian Hunter, I remember I'm sitting in reading class. It's a true story. I'm in 7th grade. I probably 12, 13 at the time. Sitting in class, and I see him counting money. He counts up $200 in front of me in class. I'm like, yo, where you get that money from? He was like, oh, you remember them jerseys I had earlier? I'm like, yeah. He said, I sold them to the old heads, $50 a pop. I said, shut the fuck up. I said, where you get the jerseys? He said, oh, I steal them from the mall. I'm like, how? I'm like, he's like, oh, I take wire cutters. I clip the wire, I tuck them under my shit, and I dip. So I'm like, nah, I'm not believing. And honest to God truth, I remember looking at him like, this was how I thought. And this is why I say I was a good kid. I was a product of my environment. I did things because I felt like I was smarter than people. And what I found out is the game don't give a fuck how smart you are. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't listen. So I'm like, oh, he's dumb as hell. If he can do that, I know I can do it. So I'm like, next time you go to the mall, I'm coming with you. He's like, we got to skip school. My dad drove for Port Authority, and he's a military dude. If I got caught, and I knew if I got caught skipping school, that was my ass. But I didn't care. I was like, fuck it. Let me know when.
Money talked.
Yeah, more. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm watching him I'm like, we're 12, 13 years old. He got $200. So I remember our first time I had my boy Earl scout the bus so we would catch, I think it was like the 67F at the time, and we would catch it on William Penn going up towards Graham. So it's the Graham Field now where Chatham School has their, I think they do have football, but I know they have soccer and lacrosse games at. But I remember hiding behind, there's still this pillar there to this day. There's a pillar. I remember just hiding behind the pillar and my boy Earl saying, here come the bus, here come the bus. I'm like, just let me know if it's my pops today. If it ain't my pops, I'm hopping on. So he's like, all right, ain't your dad, you good. So I remember we all got on the bus. We paid our $1.25. I think that's what it was at the time. And we're supposed to be in school. Nobody asks no questions. We catching the bus to the mall. We go to the mall. I start off stealing Nike socks and wristbands first because I'm scared to steal a jersey. And then I'm like, I got to see them do it first. I don't know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? So the first time I went, I was like, Nike socks, headbands, them is easy. I could whoop, 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 whoop. So I don't remember.
Don't listen to him.
Do not do none of the.
Don't be stealing shit.
Do not steal anything. Okay,
it's not easy.
I was young. I was young and naive, and you ever hear my sayings? I mean, no matter what age you are, unfortunately, sometimes you're gonna do some stupid shit. You want to try to be smart about your stupid. You know what I'm saying? But so the first couple times I went to the mall, I just stole Nike socks and headbands, and I would make like $50 because I would sell them for $5 a pop. You know what I'm saying? Jerseys was 50. So I seen my homie Earl make 150. My homie Brian, he was so good at it. I remember one time he made 300. We're sitting in lunch. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, these were the conversations I was having in 7th grade with my friends, is making money, thinking of ways to make money. I sold candy. I would buy candy. You ever seen those caramel apple suckers? Oh, I would buy all of them. I would sell them in school. You know what I'm saying? Everything was about making money when I was at Wilkinsburg. So, after
why did money drive you so much?
I mean, coming from my area, we look at it as a sign of success. Coming from where I grew up, and the things that you see. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. I always say we come from the same country, but we come from two different worlds. Depending on where you grow up, it dictates your view on everything. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think money was going to set you free in a way?
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, because I knew I had a good childhood, but we weren't rich. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You had what you needed.
Yeah, had what I needed. And there were things that I wanted. And, my dad wouldn't, I don't want to say my dad wouldn't buy me things that I wanted. He would. Because I remember when I got caught stealing a jersey, he was like, why the fuck you ain't just ask me for the jersey? Goofy. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, because I was going to sell it.
Did you tell him that?
Yeah. I said, because I was going to sell it. And he was like, what do you mean? And then I told him. That was when my dad was like, oh, I got to get you the fuck out of here. Them was his exact words. Wow. He said, oh, I got to get you the fuck out of here. If I don't get you out of here, I don't think you're going to make it. I'm in 7th grade. Wow. I'm already skipping school. I wasn't doing drugs at that time, but I was able to. Yeah. I was scared. So, when I was in 7th grade, all my friends was smoking weed that I used to hang out with, but I was scared. So I would always say I'm an athlete. That's what I would say. You know what I'm saying? I'm an athlete. I don't smoke. Mm-hmm. But all my friends, yeah, they smoke. You know what I mean? So, it's funny looking back how young I was. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, my dad he worked for Port Authority, so he was always gone. And at the time, my mom and my dad were separated, so I stayed with my dad. So I would be home a lot on my own. You know what I'm saying? I was able to roam, and I wasn't a bad kid. You know what I'm saying? I didn't cause any drama or anything like that, but sometimes I did dumbass shit. Sure. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell my dad, I was pissed when he took me out of Wilkinsburg because I wanted to graduate from Wilkinsburg. That's where my dad graduated from. And I used to watch all his old high school football pictures. That was why I wanted to play football. Growing up in Pittsburgh, and my dad, I watched my dad play flag football. I wanted to do that, and I wanted to be a Wilkinsburg Tiger. You know what I'm saying? Like, football was everything. Yeah. And, him sending me to Woodland Hills was probably the best thing because the conversations became different. I remember my first experiences in middle school. I'm in 8th grade, and at the time, Woodland Hills was starting to make their mark in regards to football. You know, this is 97, 98. You know, Penn Hills was really good at that time. But Woodland Hills was right on that cusp, you know what I'm saying? Because they basically, multiple neighborhoods just basically just came together to form Woodland Hills, you know?
Melting pot of talent.
Yeah, so, you know, I remember in 8th grade sitting at the lunch table for like the first couple months, and my friends at the time, they're talking like, yeah, I'm going to college. I'm going D1. I'm going D1. You going D1? And I remember hearing this and not knowing what the fuck they're talking about. And I remember after lunch, I had to pull my homie Kareem to the side, and I was like, yo, what the fuck was y'all talking about in class? I mean, in lunch. What the hell is D1? And he looked at me like, what? You don't know what D1 is, D2, D3? I'm like, bro, no. What the fuck are you talking about? I didn't have conversations about college when I was in middle school at Wilkinsburg. That's not to say that there weren't people who didn't aspire to go to college there, but I wasn't hanging around them.
Your futures were different.
Yeah.
In Wilkinsburg, it's like, just stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
But when you get to Woody Hills, it's like, all right, your future can be very bright.
But also, I was a follower. So I tend to do what I was around. You know what I'm saying? When I got into Woodland Hills, the cool thing to do was play football. And if you're good at football, I don't want to say life was easy, but it kind of helped make things easier, you know? And I was good at football, but I was little. You know what I'm saying? So, and you had to earn your stripes. I was coming from Wilkinsburg into Woodland Hills prior to, I don't know this for sure, but prior to me and my cousin Brendan, there weren't a lot of people that were able to transfer from Wilkinsburg into Woodland Hills and have success, because Woodland Hills was a district that those kids was playing from kindergarten all the way through. Like, they all knew each other. When I came into Woodland Hills, I was a new face from a new place, and Braddock and Wilkinsburg didn't get along. So, you know, early in me hanging with my friends from Braddock, they saved me a lot. You know, I remember one time being at a corner store, and I got cornered from some dudes from the neighborhood questioning me. Where you from? And I don't know what the hell to say. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't even know there's a beef. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm from Wilkinsburg, because I'm like, I ain't no bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, but my brother Bill, shout out to my brother Bill, I love him to death. He came out the store, and because my brother Bill got credibility, you know, we're in middle school, he was like, yo, what the fuck's going on? And he stepped in between me and the 3 dudes. And they was like, yo, this dude's from, you know, they're like, this nigga's from Wilkinsburg. He was like, that's my brother. They like, how? He's like, don't matter. Leave him the fuck alone. He's cool. They was like, all right, respect.
That's all it
Never
took back then.
bothered
You're just
me.
from a different area.
Oh, hell
That's
yeah.
crazy.
What?
Like, so this is all foreign to me, man. Like,
Yeah.
I lived in Plum all my life, you know,
So,
predominantly white. Like, it's just different.
Yes, very different.
Very different.
You know,
I graduated in
in
'97 from Plum, and yeah, Penn Hills was a powerhouse, and
yeah,
beat our asses every
and Plum
time.
was always good. You know what I'm saying?
not
When
so
I was in
much
high
anymore.
school, y'all had this running back. His name was Rob. He ended up going up to Till too. He was nice. He gave us fits. Plum definitely always did. But yeah, man, it's always interesting. That's why, you know, I love having these conversations with people, because, you know, I think that ultimately, especially even with the times right now in the country, it's just having an understanding for everybody. You know, we're all pretty much molded by our experiences, you know what I'm saying? And who you allow yourself to have experiences with, you know. We all have our prejudices because of what we see and what we're told. But until, you know how many people I've met, and then maybe like after a couple of times hanging with them, I swear to God, they be like, yo, you're nothing like I thought you were gonna be. Yeah. Or you're nothing like such and such said you are. You know what I'm saying?
Such and such.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah. But you know who such and such is. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're just like, yeah, it's natural to have a prejudice. Like, I'm not offended by what you think. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're not trying to purposely disrespect me, purposely offend me, you can't offend me and you can't disrespect me.
It can be an accident.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, understanding some of those things, you know, you can, so it's like, you know, the work I do now. You know, I'm a assistant program manager for a violence prevention program. I never even knew violence prevention programs were a thing. You understand? Like it's not foreign to me anymore because I'm learning. But at the same time, there are people on the ground doing the boot work. You know what I'm saying? And people doing their best to mitigate the violence that happens in my neighborhood. But we live in America. You know what I'm saying? And you got to think about it like this. We live in a capitalist society, so there's always going to be violence. You know what I'm saying? Which is why we need the police, right. You know? But are there things that we can probably make better? Yeah, across the board. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, you know, our experiences shape us and mold us, right? If I have a fear of dogs, it might be because I got bit. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that causes trauma. So now, fuck all dogs. I don't like a dog. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, you know, just that dog was a biter and so try to not always lump everybody in a category because you had a bad experience with one dog.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And to your point, Doug, you know, you said, oh, I didn't know you were so cool after you give someone a chance to talk. We've known each other for 32 minutes. Mm-hmm. Yes, we were acquaintances. We've seen each other in and out of the gym. Mm-hmm. We've exchanged pleasantries. Mm-hmm. I don't know you other really than social media and what you post, right? Mm-hmm. Until you sit down and give someone a chance to open up and talk about their life stories, you have no clue. People judge you every day, I guarantee it, and I know you know that. Mm-hmm. Big bodybuilder, blah, blah, blah. They think you probably don't know anything but how to lift weights, blah, blah, blah. You run deep. Mm-hmm. And until you give someone the chance to talk about that shit.
Yeah, that's why I say, you know, I feel like my life experiences kind of prepared me for bodybuilding, you know what I mean? Because growing up with my dad in a militant home, I had to be disciplined. If I drank something, my mouth is getting dry. But if I drank something and I put one dish in a sink, man, my pops would flip the fuck out. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'd be like, you know, you're a kid, you know? But at the same time, it gives you an understanding of discipline, structure. You know, when I was in my rut, when I was in my depression, I didn't have no discipline and no structure. You know what I mean? When I quit playing football in college, I lost that, and I quit playing football in college because I was a goofy. But I was young, I was naive. I thought I knew everything, but I didn't know shit. You know when you're 18, 19, you think you got it all figured out, especially with a lot of the things that I've experienced growing up. You know, you feel like you just know everything until, you know, like that. Like I said, I felt like, you know, after how my experience was in high school and going into college, I felt like I was untouchable when I got to college. And then God said, nope, you ain't untouchable. I don't know who you think you are out here, but you're running around crazy. And unfortunately, sometimes that happens to me where God's like, yep, there you go. Here you go, cuz. Take that. Yeah, humble pie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it happened to me when I was in middle school. And like I said, I'm going to tell you the story when I got caught stealing from the mall. I'm in Monroeville Mall. It's April. I got on a First Down coat. You remember First Down coats, the big puffy coats, right? Yeah. Why the fuck am I wearing that? It's April. You understand? Mm-hmm. I already look suspicious. You know what I'm saying? So we catch the bus up to the mall. At this time, we already had a system. So I knew if my dad was driving or not. But I knew at that time my dad wouldn't be driving those 67F. You know what I'm saying? So after I caught the bus a couple of times, I wasn't even worried. What I would be worried about is somebody knowing my dad. But thinking about it at that time, I didn't care. You know what I'm saying?
So you keep saying I didn't care, but you also keep saying your dad was a hard-nosed, disciplined, structured, tough ass, right? Mm-hmm. But you weren't afraid of him to the point where it kept you out of trouble.
I was afraid of him, but I also wanted to feel accepted amongst the crowd I hung around. You know what I'm saying?
You were willing to deal with whatever you got when you got home. So
that's why my dad knew he had to get me out. My dad knew. So we catch the bus to the mall. I'm with my homie Earl. I'll never forget this as long as I live. It's the funniest story ever. I swear to God. I just found my homie Earl on Facebook a couple years ago. We was talking about this. We was cracking up. So I'm with my homie Earl at that time. I was with my best friend. He would walk down and he would meet me at my house and we would walk to school. But this day we didn't walk to school. We walked over to Penn Ave, caught the bus, went to the mall. And he wanted a Kevin Garnett whole outfit. I was like, all right, I worked up the courage to steal a jersey. I was going to take one jersey. I was going to sell it for $50. That was kind of like how I was. I had to dip my toe in first. I started with the Nike socks and the headbands. Now I'm like, all right, now it's time to get a jersey. So we go and I get my jersey, but I didn't know that half of it was hanging out the bottom of my coat, right? So once I got the jersey, my homie Earl was like, go ahead. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna wait for you, right? So he's trying to get his Kevin Garnett outfit. He's clipping, pop, pop. He clips him, stuffs him up under. And then I see this lady come out the back and I see her point at me. So then I'm like, yeah, I'm a dip cuz I'm out. So I walk out. Soon I walk out, I see security up there. Then I bang the left. I see security coming out where I'm like, fuck. I'm like, oh shit, I'ma die. That's the first thing that came to my head.
You're gonna die?
What? What? I'm gonna die. You understand? Like, so I remember I sat down. So listen, my homie Earl, we had already stole Nike socks and headbands. That was a given. And if I came in the mall, I'm coming out with Nike socks and headbands off top. So he had my socks and headbands because he had the biggest bag. And he stole his Kevin Garnett outfit. Swear to God, stole it. He had the shorts, top set, everything. And I'm sitting down on a bench. And when I sit down on a bench, he comes and sits down next to me. He has his whole shit in his coat. They never say anything to him. I don't rat him out. I don't say anything. But I sit down on a bench and he goes, what's that hanging from your coat? And I looked down and I said, oh, and then I said, oh, that's my Eric Metcalf jersey. He said, let me see it. I said, no. He zipped my coat down, Paris Clubhouse stickers all on that motherfucker. I was like, fuck. He was like, you know, gave me the talk. You're a minor and blah, 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 blah. I thought they were going to just let me go. And then the cops came. And the owner was like, if we get the dad, I ain't pressing charges. I'm like, fuck. At that time, my dad didn't even have a car because he had just sold his car to get another car. So we're carless. So guess who he has to call? My grandmother. And my grandmother lives right down the street. So I'm sitting in the back office with my boy Earl the whole time. He got this Kevin Garnett. He done stole his shit from there. And we just, chilling. Man, let me tell you, when my dad came in that room with my grandmother, my heart hit my nuts. I'd rather go to jail at that time. Swear to God. I'd have been like, y'all just take me to jail. Like, fuck it. I'm gonna die anyway. Like, this dude is gonna kill me. Do you understand? So they talked. They let me go with my dad, my homie Earl. We're riding home. My grandmother's driving. My dad got this stone cold look just straight through the mirror. And my homie Earl, he looks at me. He goes, you want your socks? I said, fuck no. Nigga, I don't want them fucking socks. Yeah, like, bro. I'm like, I don't want nothing, cuz I'm about to die. I probably won't see you at school. It's over for me, cuz I'm dead, bro. And I'll never forget, I get home. I'm 13 at the time, I think. And when we walk in the house, my dad says, pull your pants down and go upstairs. I'm like, oh my God. I ain't got a whooping like that since I was probably like 4. I'm 13, dog. I'm like, what? So I go upstairs, real shit. I go upstairs. I'm scared as hell. I'm crying. My dad come upstairs. He just starts laughing and says, man, pull your pants up, stupid. And then says, sit down. I sit down. He just gave me the talk. And that was when he was like, yo, what the fuck was you thinking? You know what I mean? Like, I need to know what's going on with you. Or skipping school, stealing, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm crying and I'm just like, I'm trying to tell my story. And then when I calmed down, I told him what I did. I told him exactly what happened because he always said, the worst thing you could do to me is lie. You'll get in more trouble for lying than telling the truth. And I knew that and I believed him. So I told him everything. I remember he called my mom. My mom don't even cuss. My mom cussed me out. And she don't even know how to cuss, so it was funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom's one of them people, she don't cuss, she don't drink. She's, you know, she's just, that's just her though. You know what I'm saying? She's always been like that. When she came to Vegas, I told her you got to drink. When she came to Vegas for the Olympia, she had never been to Vegas. And I was so dope that my mom came to Vegas and my mom had a drink with me. Because my mom don't drink. So when my mom, she cussed me out. I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. Like, my mom cussing me out. And then that was when I don't know what happened, but I know that was when my mom and my dad started talking about getting back together. Because at the time, my mom lived in Atlanta. And then I remember we went to go get my mom. We came back home. My dad got a townhouse in Turtle Creek in 97, 98. And that was how I ended up at Woodland Hills. That was the best thing for me too, because even just school was different. So at Wilkinsburg, I only had worksheets for homework, and it was rare that I would even get worksheets. And when I did, I could do them. I remember I would come home from school, my dad would be like, you don't got no homework? I'd be like, I did it in school. He'd be like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? I was able to make honor roll with a D. You know what I'm saying? So when I got to Woodland Hills and I had books, true story, 8th grade, I made the 8th grade basketball team. I got an F on my report card. I remember coming home. In my mind, I'm like, it's just one bad grade. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's one bad grade. He ain't gonna say nothing. I got A's, B's, I got one F. It was in science. I came home geek. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dad, man, I made the basketball team. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, word, that's what's up, man. I'm glad you made the basketball team. He was like, but you're not playing. And I'm like, why? He was like, you got an F in science. I'm like, that's one class. He was like, I don't give a fuck. It's an F. I'm like, for real, Dad, I made the basketball team. He said, I don't give a fuck. And if I catch you playing basketball, I'm going to beat your ass. I was like, oh. He said, and go in your room, take your TV out, your radio. Every book from every subject better come home every day. I had 8 classes. I had 8 books.
That's a lot of fucking
books.
Your
Listen,
backpacks.
But man, my dad made my room a jail. He said, until the next report card come out, only time you come out your room to go to the bathroom and eat. I come home and catch you out that fucking room, I'm gonna fuck you up. Damn. I'm like, but I did it to myself.
Yeah.
I had an F in science. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when you're a kid, especially coming from where I grew up, I'm glad that I had a dad like that. A C in my house was bad. So a F, that's why he was like, I don't give a fuck if you had all A's and 1 F. You're not playing.
So how did your dad's parenting change the way you parent?
I'm still learning because I didn't do a lot of things right as a parent, but so a lot of things I definitely did different. Like I don't eat pork, but my wife and my kids eat pork. I don't mind if they eat pork, but I remember my dad came home when I was in like 4th grade. He was like, we ain't eating pork no more. I ain't buying that shit. Don't eat it. And then I didn't eat it for a long time. And I remember going on a trip to Florida with my dad, and I ate a hot dog, and it fucked my stomach up. The trip was
hot dogs
ruined.
Do fuck you up.
But it was a pork hot dog. If I had ate a beef hot dog or a turkey hot dog, I'd have been fine. It was a pork hot dog, and then I was like, "Yep, that's it. I don't even want it no more. Yeah. Like it upsets my stomach, so I just don't eat it." You know what I'm saying? But I never forced that on my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a point in time like where my dad was like, "We not celebrating Christmas." I remember him telling my mom, "You better not buy no motherfucking tree." And my mom was like, "Fuck that, we buying a tree. I don't give a fuck." Yeah, like, but my mom didn't say that, but didn't say fuck that. But my mom was like, "We're getting a tree," and we got a tree. And my dad just, he conformed, like, But I understood what my dad was doing. My dad was trying to make me be a critical thinker, and ask questions, and don't always just accept things as status quo. And I appreciated my dad for that. And I appreciated him for instilling those things into me, because, it's hard. That's why it's hard to pull the wool over my eyes, because I'm a critical thinker. You know what I'm saying? And we don't always have to agree, but we can have an understanding, right? Like, let's say you're pro-life and you don't believe in the death penalty, right? And I believe in the death penalty. Okay, right? Like, you believe for no reason nobody should be killed for no reason, right? But if a man's daughter gets raped and he catches that man and he kills that man, you would still disagree, but you would understand.
Yes.
And be like, I wouldn't have did it. I would not have done that. I don't believe he should have been killed at all. But I understand. You catch the man that raped your fucking daughter? What? Rapists to me are scum. They should be, if I had it my way, I'd castrate them and send them to an island where they can't swim back. And if you swim back, you don't even got your joint. You're burnt.
Doug for president.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's stuff like that. I would do that. Like, because to me, that is, like, to me, you know the power and authority you have, and you're abusing it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people like that should not be around. They need to be somewhere else with people that think like them, and let them kill each other.
Yeah,
you know
there's always this thing like, I can't understand how someone can XYZ. It's like, you're not supposed to understand how
exactly.
they can do that. That's a different breed.
Yes.
And we're not supposed to be able to connect mentally with why they do the things they do.
No. So, growing up with my dad was interesting because he was in the military, and I remember I had a period in time where a few of my friends lived with me, and they got to see how my dad was. And it was interesting because when my homie Will and my homie Kareem moved in with me, and we all played football, and at the time, my homie Will's mom was moving to North Carolina. He didn't want to move to North Carolina. And my boy Kareem's mom was moving to Duquesne, and he didn't want to move to Duquesne because of the football team we had. Like, especially for our senior year, like we were picked to win everything. No, at the beginning of the season we weren't. But we still went undefeated, and we lost in the state championship game, So it was funny living with them because I remember having conversations with my homie Kareem, like, yo, I remember I got a C in high school in gym because you had to wear a white T-shirt, but I was a rebel, right? So I'm not wearing a white T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care. I'm like, I'm here, I'm playing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, I'm thinking I'm a kid.
Does my T-shirt color make, right?
Exactly, right? Just being disrespectful and not really understanding that at a young age because I think I know everything. And they got to see how it was living with my dad. And my dad used to always, Will was my dad's favorite. But not to say like he really liked Will more than everybody, but Will followed instructions. You know what I'm saying? Will was clean like my dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, Will wouldn't go in the room and take his clothes off and leave them on the floor. He would put them in the hamper. You know what I'm saying? Will would, when me and him worked at Foodland. So I remember when he moved.
Oh my God.
Yeah, when he moved in with me, he was like, yo, what we need at the crib? And I'm like, what you mean? He's like, we need bread, milk. You know what I'm saying? And whatever I would tell him we would need, he would take it outside and put it on top of the crate. And when we would get off, I would drive him around, he would grab it, and we would have it at the crib. So, because I remember one time my dad bought some sandwich bread and some lunch meat. I'll never forget this day. My dad bought some bread, some sandwich meat, and some chips. And all three of us ate all that shit. Like, not thinking, you know what I'm saying? Like, my dad was probably driving the bus all day, tweaking to come home and had them chips and sandwiches.
All I want after
you know what I'm saying? And I remember he comes in, he opens up the refrigerator. We're playing PlayStation. You could see we didn't have sandwiches, chips everywhere.
Crumbs.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And he goes, what the fuck? I just bought 2 loaves of bread, fucking lunch meat. Y'all motherfuckers. He come in there and we're just like, oh. We're just like, we don't know what to do. Like, he just storms out the crib and we was like, he gathered himself and he came back in. And then he's like, yo, how many pieces of meat did you fucking use on a set?
How many pounds?
He said, 1 piece of meat, 1 piece of cheese from here on out. Remember when I met you? When I met my wife, she made me a grilled cheese. And it was the best grilled cheese I ever had.
It's 9 pieces of cheese.
And I remember asking her, like, what did you do? It was gooey. It was good. Swear to God, she looked at me and was like, I put 2 pieces of cheese on it. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Like half a slice.
In my house, 1 piece of cheese. You know what I'm saying? One piece of cheese. And that was when my homie Will was like, oh, we got to start bringing stuff home. Like, you know what I'm saying? He like, your pops is right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ate all that. He was the level-headed one in the crib. I'm goofy. My other homie Kareem, we're goofy. We're the goofballs. We're the fun in the house. Yeah. Will was the structure we needed too. He also had a morning routine and working out when we were in high school. He had abs. I was like, damn, bro, how the fuck you got abs, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? He was
I'm
one of
not eating 2 pounds of Isley chipped ham.
he was one of the hardest hitters on our team. I still got the video when we played Central Catholic. We was the number 1 team in the state. There's the number 2 team in the state. Sold out. You know what I'm saying? It was the game of the week. And my homie Will hit this kid so hard his helmet popped in the air. Yeah, it was wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was an intense game too, because we went to triple overtime with him. Then we ended up playing him in the Whitfield Championship. First game of Heinz Field, first quad A game of Heinz Field, when it was Heinz Field. Now it's Acrisure Stadium. Yeah. That's how long ago it is. That's how old I am. I'm old as fuck.
I'm older as fuck.
Hey,
you're what? You 40 now?
I'll be 42 in December next month.
Yeah, I'll be 47. Yeah.
But we look good. You know what I'm saying?
Straight.
Been through a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say for me, man, it's interesting to be here and be able to conversate with you too, because, you know, I do have a story to tell. You know, I want to write a book. There are a lot of things that I want to do. And I'm in a position now with Project One to be able to do those things, you know, and being able to kind of like give people my story, you know what I'm saying? Because the last 10 years have really been interesting. You know, bodybuilding is an extreme sport. And it's literally 1% of the population. And it's its own bubble. And not everybody is aware of it. You know what I'm saying? Like how difficult it is to just win a bodybuilding competition at the amateur level,
let alone
the professional level. Yes. You know, like there are amateurs that never win. There are pros that never win. You can become a pro, compete, and you never fucking win. Because when you see a lot of these dudes who is winning, you're like, what the fuck, bruh? Like, Jesus Christ. You're 250, solid.
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying? Like my last show, I weighed in what, 206? I was 206, baby. Yeah,
you did the 212, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I competed at the 212, but it was a way better look. You know what I mean? In 10 years, I've competed in the Olympia, the Masters Olympia. You know,
you're doing shit that, like you said, not even 1% of people can do.
Yeah, and I'm thankful and I'm blessed. You know, my childhood molded me into that, because you have to be. I always say I couldn't have did this in my 20s. I think I had to fuck off in my 20s to be able to do what I did in my 30s, because they gave me an opportunity to kind of just like, you know, I had a period from the time I was probably 20 till I was 27. I didn't step foot in a gym. You would never see me in a gym. I'm drinking, I'm partying, I'm masking all of everything that I'm feeling in my depression. You know, from 2007 till 2011, I was in a rut. It was bad. You know, like I could not get a job. You understand? Like it was cell phones, places. And then I sold life and health insurance because he didn't need a background check. I just needed to pass the test. And shout out to Simon Arias too, because he paid for all of my tests. I took that insurance test like 10 times, swear to God. He paid for it every time. He believed in me that much. You know what I mean? And a lot of the things that have helped me win when I started bodybuilding, he was like the start of it. You know, I remember working with him, and he's a great motivator, you know. So I remember like one day I was like, man, I'm gonna be the first person in the office tomorrow. Like I'm gonna beat everybody there. And I get there and this motherfucker comes out the office dripping wet. I'm like, yo, what the fuck, bro? What's going on? You know, because I knew him. I'd be at his house, you know, I knew him. You know what I'm saying? And he like, oh, I just came from the gym. I'm like, bro, 7 o'clock. What fucking gym you at? It's before here. You know what I mean? He like, oh, my gym's 24 hours. I'm like, where? I ain't, you know what I mean? 24-hour gym, but we're at the time I'm out not Cranberry, but like North Hills. Yeah. And it's still the 24-hour gym out there now on McKnight Road. And he's like, no, I go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. I said, for what? I swear to God, that's exactly what I said. I said, for what? He was like, he's like, it gives me a head start on my date. And then he starts rattling it off while he gets up early in the morning. And I'm listening to him, but I'm like, I'm never doing that. Like, I'm not, like, who the fuck gets up that early? And then I'm like, and I said it too, I'm like, you're rich. His exact words like, no, I'm not. I'm like, cuz you got a BMW, Range Rover, you live in Cranberry. He's like, and I'm not where I want to be. And he was dead ass. Because what he got now
doesn't touch what he has.
What? Yeah. What? This dude he done expanded that business states.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like he got houses not here, he got houses everywhere. Like he had me on his podcast when the year I turned pro. You know what I'm saying? Because he was watching me, and I always attribute a lot of things that I do to him because You know, when I needed that change, the only thing I could think of was get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And I remember telling my wife, like, yo, I'm going to the gym at 5 in the morning. She was like, yeah, all right.
I'll be in bed with you.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Because I know she was it came from left field for her. She didn't say that because she didn't believe in me. Yeah. It was literally from left field. It was, I didn't like how I looked and I wanted to change it. And I knew, some part of me knew that fitness would help me get my life together. Because at that time, my life was not together. I still had my boyish ways and I didn't know how to take care of my family. I remember getting my paycheck from McDonald's when I worked there. And that was a swallow my pride moment because I used to think I was above that, and God humbled me. And it's like, that's the only job you can get now since you think you too good. Here. And now I have a huge respect for people who work at McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King. I have a huge respect for anybody who works anywhere. Sure. You know, especially after going to Japan. That was so enlightening. Nobody looks down on anybody for any job that they have. It doesn't even matter. And everybody takes their job serious no matter what they're doing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't it funny how people are placed in your life for a reason and you don't realize what that reason is at the time? Like Simon, for instance. He could have been the catalyst for your entire bodybuilding journey. And at the time, you're like, this crazy motherfucker's working out at 5 a.m., blah, 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 right?
Yeah, it was weird. It was foreign to me. But I did, in a way, understand it. And then shout out to my boy Norm. I used to... when we lived over on the north side, he used to pick me up. He was like my mentor, and I would get in his car. He would like, I'm gonna be there at 5, and he would be on motherfucking time every day. He was just one of them kind of people. Still got a relationship with him too. And I remember getting in his car, and he would have on Robin Sharma, Zig Ziglar, and I used to be like, yo, put some music on, dog. Ain't nobody trying to listen to this shit. He like, nah, I'm driving. This is what we listening to. You need to listen to it. You need to make some sales today. Like my mind just was not where it needed to be. Yeah. And then I'm very open-minded. I knew he wasn't trying to bully me. It was a respect thing. Like, nah, we need to get our mind focused on what we're doing today. This helps me. This can help you. And after a while, I'm listening to this shit. I'm like, oh, this is some deep ass shit. You know what I'm saying? They're saying a lot of things that I hear my father say. They're saying a lot of things that I hear a lot of other successful people say. So then I just started listening to it. You know, and from that time, when I have doubts in myself and things like that, I will go find some motivational speaking from Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Inky Johnson. That's one of my favorites. You know what I'm saying? Because you will always have trials and tribulations. That shit don't go no motherfucking where. And it comes in different shapes, sizes, and you know, there's a trial and tribulation somewhere in every person's life. Yep. Everybody's experienced trauma. Everybody's experienced, you know, good. Everybody's experienced bad, you know.
It's like you started this with, I've had a gun point on my head. I've been shot at. And I'm like, you said it like under your breath, like it's no big deal. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I mean, growing up in my neighborhood, I remember bringing a friend home from college, and me and my homie Bill, we're playing PlayStation in my living room. And I'm so used to hearing gunshots. Like, that's normal to me. You know, growing up in my neighborhood, you hear it all the time. And we didn't hear the gunshots, but my homie did. And he's like, yo, didn't y'all hear that? You know, we like, what? He like, it sounded like gunshots. We like, oh, it ain't by my house. I ain't worried about it. You know what I'm saying? It's somewhere else, you know. Yeah, you know, it's unfortunate, you know. And trust me when I tell you, I've had it really good compared to a lot of people that I know. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I've been shot at, but I ain't been shot. And I ain't been shot multiple times. And I've been robbed, but I ain't been bound up, thrown in a trunk, burned, shot in the head. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have when I was 10 years old, my cousin Marcus Coffey was murdered by his best friend. This dude ate in my house. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he was a part of a gang called Law. It was Larmer and Wilkinsburg. And to think about it, my cousin was only 19, but he seemed so old to me back then. You know, I remember when he got out of jail, my dad let him stay with us as his home plan because he needed somewhere to stay. Good kid. Like, when I tell you, he was my favorite babysitter because he would give me his pager. If he was leaving, he would give me his pager number and tell me to. He taught me how to type help. So if he turned it upside down, he knew he had to call me ASAP. You know, I remember going to the store with him, And at the time, I did not know what was going on. I knew something was going on, but I didn't know. But I remember coming out the store, and I remember him arguing with somebody and him grabbing me and holding me behind him like really tight. And I remember the other dude saying, "It's cool, you got it." And I remember back when I was young, there were morals in the streets. You understand? Like, you know, that was a time period where if it was today, I probably would have died with my cousin on the corner because my cousin had a beef with somebody and they ironically saw each other. And it was a respect thing. You know, I'm 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, all right, you got it.
Do you think you saved his life that day?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because you were there.
Hell yeah. You know? But like I said, you know, he wound up getting killed. You know what I'm saying? And it was tough because that was the first time I've ever experienced somebody that I was like close with that gets murdered. You know? I hate when I get like that. But you know, I didn't realize how young he was until I turned 19. You know, and I remember being with my dad in Florida, and it was my first semester, right? So, my grades were horrible because I wasn't going to class. You know what I'm saying? And he had got my stepmom had got a letter from Teal, and my grade point average was like a 1.8. Oh, my dad lit into me. He said, "Oh, you think shit's a game, huh? Wind up back home, see if you like that shit." Man, I went back to school. I had a really cool running back coach. He was like a big brother father figure to me. Clyde Morgan. Shout out to Clyde. I love you. I really appreciate you. He was really like my dad up school, but like an older brother too. You know what I'm saying? Because I could go play games, play PlayStation with him, hang out with him. Because he was a little older than us because he played. So he was like a grad assistant. You know, he's a track coach. What's the name of the school? It's over in Indiana. I think it's called Morewood University. And he's been a track coach over there. But I remember going back to school and he helped me get a work study program. And he's like, "Yo, what the fuck do you do? Like, what do you like?" He's like, because it didn't make sense to him. Mm-hmm. And I told him, I had a Western humanities class. There was 100 people in there. And I remember going in there and the professor was like, "I'm not taking roll. So if you come, you come. If you don't, you don't." I was like, "Oh, that's say less." Know what I'm saying? And, you know, I knew people I could copy off of, get notes off of. Shout out to my homie Kyle Brown. I helped him a few years ago in my weight loss challenge. I helped him lose over 20 pounds. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I told him it was an honor to help him do that because he helped me a lot in college. You know what I'm saying?
Are you throwing people under the bus?
No. He would let me copy off his test.
He wouldn't let you?
No, he would.
Oh, he would.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? He would get notes for me if I needed notes. Like, you know, he was smart as fuck. He had a 4.0. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't that I wasn't smart. I was lazy. He knew I was lazy, and we were cool. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't all the time, but if I needed something, he looked out. You know what I'm saying? But so I wasn't going to that class. I remember showing up to a class, and he sit next to me. He had a stack of papers, and everybody had a stack of papers. I'm like, "Yo, why the fuck y'all got papers?" He was like, "Oh, there's a paper due today." I said, "Bro, I come to this class every day. I ain't know there was no paper due." He said, "Oh, it's on our syllabus." I'm like, "What the fuck is a syllabus, bruh?" He said, "Oh, you remember that bright paper we got the first day of class?" I said, I threw that shit away. He was like, "Oh." He said he had an extra one, so he gave it to me. He was like, "Nah, this got everything on it that we need for the semester." I'm like, fuck. I gotta go talk to my professor because I ain't have it. I didn't know anything was due. He was cool. He was like, "You can still do it. Highest grade you're gonna get is a C." I said, "All right, bet. Thank you." You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, I didn't know what the hell a syllabus was. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so of course me and my wife, we made sure my son knew what the hell a syllabus was going into college.
Day one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because we can't let you go through that. You know, and I mean, that's why I say, like, you know, my pops wasn't able to have certain conversations with me before I went to school that I told my son, you know, and I told my son, you know, I swear to God, if you up here doing shit you ain't got no business, you better hope the police get to you before me. Like, it's real. Just go to school, you know? And I told myself I wanted to be in a good position. If my son needed money, I'm going to give it to him, and I'm not going to give him no attitude, even if it's my last fucking dollar. The last thing I want is for my son to ever make a mistake like I did. You know what I mean? And, you know, ultimately, you know, you raise your kids as best you can. You make your own decisions, because I know my parents didn't want me to do what I did. You know what I'm saying? I felt like an embarrassment to my family for a long time. You know, so bodybuilding was kind of like, I don't want to say my way of trying to, like, you know,
like redeem yourself.
Yes, most definitely. You know what I mean? Because for a long time I felt like a fuck up. Sometimes I still feel like a fuck up. You know what I mean? Life
We're
is
all
life.
a fuck up.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You know
Like,
what I mean?
life is life. But, you know, shit. My dad used to always say, man, you should try bodybuilding when I was in college. I'm like, man, I'm not putting on no panties and putting on no oil. And, man, I'm like, you're tripping, bro. Like, I was very ignorant to the sport.
And many people are.
Yeah, you know, because it's a taboo sport too. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. We use PEDs. You know, my dad
to get
never
to the level you're at.
Yeah,
right?
yes, most definitely. You know, my dad never let me be naive to that either. You know, when I got into it, he was like, "Now you know if you wanna," and I'm like, "I know, but I don't know if I wanna." You know, because when I started my fitness journey, I was one of those proud natties. You know. People used to order, there's no way you're natty. I'm like, fuck you, I'm natty. I don't fuck with that shit.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, like I remember arguing with this one dude, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, and then I just said, man, why am I even arguing with these people? Because I'm arguing with people who don't even work out. They don't even know nothing about none of this shit. Yeah, I would think I'm not natty either, because if I don't do shit and I don't really understand how to put on muscle, you know what I mean? But ultimately, you know, when I made my decision, I remember knowing, you know, because I'm married. I remember I talked to my wife about it because I didn't want to hide it. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, it isn't something that I'm also going to promote or broadcast. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm an adult and I can participate in adult activities.
And you're not a doctor.
Exactly.
You don't claim to be a doctor.
Exactly. Definitely not. You know what I'm saying?
President, maybe.
Yeah.
Not a doctor.
You know what I mean? But, you know, I was also thankful that my dad didn't let me be naive to it. You know what I mean? So after I did my first 2 shows, I remember being backstage and hearing guys being open about it and talking about it and saying the chems that they using and shit. So it intrigued me. You know what I mean? And what also intrigued me was the amount of people who thought I wasn't natty. So in my mind, I'm like, if y'all think I'm not, what the fuck would I look like? Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, I really, you know, I battled with it for a long time. I would say, so I did my first competition in 2015. And to be honest with you, I did it because my dad, in 2013, I remember my dad was like, yo, you want to go watch a movie? And that was normal for me and my pops to hang out, watch a movie, grab something to eat. So I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, we could go watch a movie. And I met him at the Pittsburgh Mills. And Generation Iron.
Pittsburgh Mills, rest in peace.
Yeah. And the Generation Iron was playing. And I didn't know. I didn't know it was a bodybuilding movie. You know what I mean? And my dad, at the time, I started getting bored with bodybuilding. And I knew I needed something to keep me in the gym. Like, I swear to God, that was like, I was working out. I was being consistent, but I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just doing whatever. I knew a little bit. I did not know how to train. I didn't understand nutrition. So when I watched that movie, it gave me a way better perspective and understanding of the sport. And it made me respect the sport because you literally got to see behind the scenes stuff. Now, they didn't talk a lot about PED use, but you knew. You understand? And it was... So I put it to you like this. I was watching Phil Heath, Kai Green, Branch Warren, and at the time, these were untouchable people to me. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm watching these dudes. They were untouchable to me. When I competed in the Masters Olympia in Japan, Kai Green was there. He remembered me. You know what I'm saying?
I saw that video where you met him and talked to him.
Yeah,
and you got really emotional.
Yeah, because, you know, that was a part where my story just came full circle. You know? I literally remember watching that movie with my dad, saying to my dad, what if one day I make it to the Olympia? Like, I put it in the universe.
Manifest that shit.
Crazy. I never, I say this because I know how incredibly difficult it is to just win. So the fact that I said that to my dad and then I actually fucking did it was unbelievable. And shout out to everybody who came. I mean, I had a whole unit out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was one of the best experiences of my life, you know, but I didn't get into bodybuilding to become anything. You know, I did my first show because I wanted abs. My dad took me to watch Generation Iron. I had a lot more respect for the sport, and I just was like, fuck it. I remember coming home to, man, listen, I didn't try to be a rapper. I thought I was going to be a doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like, and my wife always supported me. Like, she never clowned me. She never, you're weird. You know what I mean? Like, you know how some people will be like, why the fuck would you want to do that? You know, she never, but I was scared to tell her I wanted to try bodybuilding because it is a taboo sport. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I remember saying to my dad, I'm not putting on no panty drawers and no oil in front of strangers. So I remember just asking her, like, yo, what do you think if I tried it? She was like, if you want to do it, do it. No hesitation. I was like, for real? She was like, yeah, I support you. I'm like, oh, shit. All right, well, fuck it. I'm gonna do it. And then I dedicated myself to compete in the Pittsburgh in 2015.
Now, what if she would have said, why in the fuck would you want to do that? Would you have still done it?
I can't honestly say that. It would have discouraged me because she's like, and I've said this to her before, she's like a mom and I'm like a son, you know, and imagine a mom telling a son, I don't love you. It's different than a stranger saying it. You know what I mean? So it definitely would have affected me. I probably would have done it out of spite and we probably wouldn't be together. You know what I'm saying? I could say that.
Bodybuilding is not only an extreme sport, it's also a very selfish sport.
And we've had our adjustments.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, how does your wife handle the 24/7 is bodybuilding, right?
Yeah.
You're constantly planning ahead to your next meal or 2 or 3. You're prepping, you're miserable, you're always in the gym. Like, how does your spouse handle that?
Man, it was a learning experience. And I can't even say there's a certain way to handle it, you know, because remember my first show? She took me to go get my tan. And because I was literally, I had no understanding what I was doing. That whole prep, I never had a cheat meal. I never had anything outside of meat, vegetables, and a complex carb. So I remember coming out from my tan, she went to Milano's and got some chicken. So when I get in the car, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Why you got chicken? Like, you can't wait until tomorrow? Like, what? She's like, what? I'm hungry. I'm like, the horse smells so good, bro. I'm like, yo, this is wow. Like, you know, so I've had my instances in regards to that. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, we've both learned and grown and over the years, you know, she can cook. So she's helped me out a lot. You know what I'm saying? But also, you know, she's a mom and she's really the backbone and the glue to my family. And my kids are also athletes. You know what I'm saying? So there would, you know, I've been doing it the past 10 years. So since my son's been 9, you know what I'm saying? So there were a lot of times where, you know, she's doing a whole lot with the kids and, you know, and I'm trying to make sure I stay on track with my bodybuilding. And she did a phenomenal job with that. You know what I'm saying? Because like you say, it is a selfish sport. There is no balance in it. You know, I'm not competing this upcoming year. I'm giving myself a break. I've been competing for 10 years straight. Like literally since I did my first bodybuilding show in 2015, I've been competing. Yeah. You know, I've been knee deep. The only year I didn't compete was 2016. And that was because we bought our house and money was tight. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't compete. And I remember the fear of, would I ever do it again now? Because I didn't compete the following year. Like, I was really scared. Like, I probably will never do another bodybuilding competition. And then when I competed in 2017, I remember losing to Shane Post. And I looked good. I had a better understanding. My boy JP helped me out towards the end. And that was how I found out you could have free meals during the prep. Because he was like, yo, you didn't have a free meal? I'm like, nah, bro, I ain't know. I'm learning shit on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? My first 2 shows I did with no coach. I just showed the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? And I took second place my first time, and then I took second place the second time. But everybody was like, the first time, I didn't even know I could compete in the open and the closed. I only did the novice because I thought you had to have some kind of credentials. So dudes was like, yo, why didn't you do the open? I'm like, I didn't know I could do the open. And a couple of dudes was glad I didn't do the open because I would have thrashed them. You know what I'm saying? So after 2017, when I did it with Shane, I felt like I should have beat him. But after looking at the pictures, he washed me. He looked really fucking good, and I'll never take that victory away from him. And I was like, I was pissed though. You know what I mean? And that was when I was like, all right, I think I want to try. I think I want to, because I knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew if you don't do a natural show, you're competing against people who use PEDs, period. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. If you want to compete against natural competitors, you do a natural show, but you have some weirdos who will use gear and still do a natural show because they're not winning amateur shows in the NPC. And I don't know why people would do any goofy shit like that, but a couple people got caught doing that. You know, once you cross the yellow brick road, you are on the yellow brick road. You understand? There's no going back and forth. You know what I mean? So, you know, I felt like I felt like I could do good. I did not know I was going to do what the fuck I did. I can honestly say that I had no clue. But I'm glad that I gave it a shot. You know, I remember being at Port Authority telling myself, like, I don't want to be wondering what if 20 years from now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be in a cubicle 20. I only got one life to live. You know what I'm saying? And I gave bodybuilding a shot, and then I had a conversation with my wife, you know, when I decided I wanted to give it, like, and, you know, like, look, I want to take this serious, and that means that entails me utilizing PEDs. She was like, okay, you know, there were some boundaries that needed to be set, you know, in regards to, you know, so speaking for somebody who is an enhanced athlete, you have to learn how to manage your mannerisms. You have to learn how to manage your feelings. You know, PEDs can become a dark place for a lot of people. You know, I'm thankful. Like I say, man, I feel like in my journey, the way my dad raised me and the way my life got, you know, I don't feel different whether I'm cruising or I'm blasting. You know, I'm not one of those people that, you know, you have some guys that are risky. You know, they'll run certain things too long, you know, and, you know, unfortunately some things happen, and I'm not perfect, you know. When you use PEDs, it's all an experiment, but it's just like fitness though, like playing with your nutrition plan. It's an experiment. Like, and I tell people, like, you know, I remember dudes like, oh, I'm gonna look like you next year. I'm like, man, try 14. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this shit for 14 years.
People don't get it, dude.
No, and you know, it requires you to be tedious. It requires you to track your food. I can't. People always be like, yo, man, like, I'm eating clean. Well, how many calories are you eating a day? Oh, I don't know. Oh, let's start there.
Yep.
If you can't tell me how many calories you're eating, I can't fucking help you.
Exactly.
Because people don't understand. Unless you grew up in a home where you ate 3 times a day, you don't. And you don't know how much you're eating. I don't give a fuck. All them little snacks add up. Peanuts, potato chips, you know, some of that shit's 300, 400 calories. So
finishing your child's meal
because
they didn't eat it all.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, when you want to look a certain way, you have to eat a certain way for as long as the results require you to do it, right?
Not only that, someone could do exactly what you've done and have completely different results.
Facts.
Because what works for you isn't going to work for the other
Exactly.
guy.
And that's why I say it's all an experiment, right? I'm gonna be having we're Project One, we're having the Dougie Flex Fit Challenge 2026.
Let's go.
Transformation Challenge. And, you know, I didn't grow up wanting to be a bodybuilder. I became a bodybuilder. And bodybuilding isn't who I am, it's what I do, it's my hobby. And I would say for the past 5 years, you know, I tasted victory, so I wanted it back. And I think I don't want to say I got lost, but there's more to life than bodybuilding. And the past few years, traveling the globe and competing is what I want to do. I want to travel the globe with my wife. And if I win a bodybuilding show and win some money, great. If I don't, I don't care. I get to experience a different world, a different culture.
So your perspective has changed.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, my daughter's in high school now. My son's in college. My goal is to help my kids, you know, and I can still do that and build my brand. And I can still do that and compete in bodybuilding. And it's not such a drive to just win everything, because all things have to align in order for you to win bodybuilding competitions. It's a subjective sport. Someone can like you and someone cannot. You know what I'm saying? And we see it all the time. So to put so much into it and then be so down at the outcomes just seems idiotic to me at this point, as long as I've been in it and truly understand the sport, you know.
A lot of politics involved, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
Which
you
is
know,
a shame.
Yes, most definitely. But you know, you can't really, you'll never be able to get away from it, because there's no strict criteria. I mean, think about it. Even this past Olympia, in my opinion, Andrew Jack was the best looking guy. If I was picking, he wins.
Amen.
For me. You know what I'm saying?
Insane.
It's not to say that Derek didn't look great. Derek, listen, those are the best bodybuilders in the fucking world. I've been there, and seeing these guys in person, videos and pictures do no fucking justice.
And this is coming from someone.
Videos and pictures do no fucking justice to what these people look like in person. I swear to God, on everything I love. It is. So I told you guys, like, my mom, I remember telling my mom made it to the Olympia. So, you know, my mom, she's, you know, green grass, white picket fences. I love my mom. Like, she's a bubbly. If me and my wife want to go somewhere, we can give my kids to her. She'll keep them as long as we could have probably ran away. You know what I'm saying? And my mom would have took care of my fucking kids. You know what I'm saying? And I remember telling her, like, Mom, man, I made it to the Olympia. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. You know? And I'm like, Mom, yeah, like, we're going to Vegas. And she said, wait a minute. She said, did Arnold Schwarzenegger do that? I said, yeah, Mom. She said, and I could honestly tell that was when she knew what I was doing. Like, she knew I was bodybuilding, but she didn't know I got good at it. Yeah, you know. And then she was like, oh, we got an Arnold Schwarzenegger in the family. I said, no. Arnold got 7. You know what I'm saying? I don't got none. I got an opportunity to go. It's going to be amazing. You know, just because, like I said, like, I've had bodybuilders ask me legit, why do you still compete, bro? You made it. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but I mean, you know, when you feel it, and then, like, you know, I've only not placed in the first call outs in 2 shows. You know what I'm saying? In all of my competitions. So, you know, you get a taste of victory, you want it again. You know what I'm saying? I still would like another win, but my view on it has changed in regards to trying to kill myself to appease other people. You know what I'm saying? Allow my body to get a break. Some people don't do that because our bodies, think about it. Your first time drinking alcohol, you get drunk as hell, quick as hell. The more you drink, the longer it takes for you to get drunk. Mm-hmm. All drugs are the same. All drugs are the same. It doesn't matter what you take. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I just said it. Your first day drinking alcohol, you can't take 21 shots. But if you're somebody who drinks, you could drink a whole bottle.
Walk down the street like
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, if you don't allow your body to get a break from PEDs, you have to take more and more and more. And, you know, as you get bigger, you have to maintain that. You know what I'm saying? And it's a slippery slope. You know, you want to do it as safe as you can. I always tell people bodybuilding is not a safe sport. It is not. When you have low body fat, that is unhealthy. You know, because your body uses your body fat for energy. So that's why bodybuilders have to have body fat to build muscle. Can't build muscle with no body fat. Like, it's physically impossible. Now, can you continue to develop? Yes. And that's what, I think that people need to understand that, you know, a bodybuilder can be the same weight every year and look better. That's
muscle maturity.
That's development. Mm-hmm. But if a bodybuilder is growing every year, he's growing. That doesn't mean that he's developing, because when you strip down the body fat, you know, things look different. It's like, that's why I always tell people, your first time doing a show, you're going to be skinny as hell because you don't realize your muscle structure. Like most people, like I know, guys and girls. Girls be like, I don't want to lose my butt. It's gonna go. That's body fat, ma'am.
And
I'm
boobs
sorry.
are gonna go.
Yeah, like
Yep.
I want to get toned. You don't even have muscle to tone. Like, and there's no such thing as toning. You're either building muscle, maintaining muscle, or losing muscle. There's no such thing, And I like to make sure that people understand that, because I'm not just a bodybuilder, and I didn't get into it for that, and that's why I love that my journey's really come full circle with me being with Project One Nutrition, because we're a lifestyle brand. I'm a bodybuilder, but at the same time, you don't have to be a bodybuilder to be healthy and be well. You never want to be in a situation where you need to be strong and you can't. That means you take life for granted, period, because you don't know what can happen to you and where. And if you're someone who is watching TikTok and watching social media, you see it happen to people all the time. I just encourage people to get into health and wellness from the standpoint of, if you don't take care of your body now, your body can't take care of you when you get older.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my pop said that to me on his dying bed in hospice. He said, man, take care of your body when you're young, because when you get old, you're going to need it. You know what I'm saying? And things can break down, So understanding that now, where a lot of bodybuilders are pushing and pushing and pushing, I understand you can't push all the time. Sometimes you got to sit back and relax. You got Ronnie Coleman, right? Greatest bodybuilder of all time, right? Greatest bodybuilder of all time. And he won't take it back. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't to diminish him or any way, but all of the bodybuilders say, especially ones that are the same age, you want to be able to walk. You want to be able to enjoy life. You want to be able to, be mobile. And bodybuilding can break you down. Just any sport, football. I got homies that played in the league and suffered from depression when they got done. Your whole life, that's your identity, is football. Football. Now you're 30. You're done.
You have no purpose anymore.
Yeah, no, football's over. Like, what the fuck do I do? I can't go to the facility anymore. Like, what do I do? You know what I mean? And for a lot of football players, a lot of athletes, they struggle with that when they're done playing. That's like their identity. I don't want that for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be that bodybuilder old with no wife, no kids, and dusty ass trophies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
and loose skin because you lost all your gains.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that, and I do understand sacrifices come with everything, but for me, I want to do things as healthy as I can, and I don't want to be chasing something that I may never get again. And if I get it again, cool. If I don't, if I had won the Masters Olympia, I'd have competed at this year's Olympia, but I got fourth. You know what I mean? So it was unfortunate, but for everything that I've been through in my past, I know it has helped me in bodybuilding so much. Just from like I said, a mental aspect. You have to be so mentally dialed in. I remember reading Relentless in 2017. That was when my mindset changed. Tim Grover's book, and it was about how Michael Jordan was. And that's a phenomenal book, because there was no social media back then. People didn't know Michael Jordan's work ethic. People did, at the beginning of people didn't know Kobe's work ethic. It's like this. If you're the hardest motherfucker on the team, you're the first one there, last one there. Can't nobody beat you on one-on-one. They can't say shit to you.
You're the captain.
Can't say. If somebody's like, yo, pass me the ball, you don't even come to practice. Shut up. Kobe used to tell people, if you want to be average, go to Dallas or Phoenix. You can't be average here in LA. Lou Williams told a story about how they got beat so bad one time, Kobe came in the locker room and told people to take off his sneakers. Take them off now. Told the equipment guy, go around, collect all of them. You ain't allowed to wear my shit. Because when you put so much into it, you don't allow mediocre people around you. You ever hear Nick Saban's quote, like, mediocre people get along with mediocre people. Mediocre people don't get along with high achievers, because high achievers don't accept mediocre shit. You know what I'm saying? And those worlds just don't collide, and you have to have a certain mentality to be good at bodybuilding. I was good. I wasn't great. Great is like winning an Olympia. You know what I'm saying? I was good at bodybuilding, and you know, I'm gonna continue to compete because I'm having fun. You know, when I'm not having fun with bodybuilding anymore, I am done. It's over. You know, but I like the challenge. I like the challenge of developing and building more muscle, building the body that I want. You know, I'm not building a body that judges want. I don't know what the fuck the judges want. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what the fuck
show to show.
You don't know what clearly I don't know what the judges want. You know what I mean? Because if you haven't seen my Olympia in Japan, go check it out. The 212. You know what I'm saying? It's very controversial, but you know it is what it is. You know, I'm not trying to appease anybody. I like bodybuilding. I like to compete. I like to look good for my wife. You know what I'm saying? I like to look good for my kids. I like to look good, and you know. I enjoy the compliments that I get. You know, you demand a certain respect when you are built a certain way, you know, and it's not that people who don't demand that, you know, because a lot of people have an aura about them regardless of how they're built, but they also have a mentality. You know, when you read about successful people and you read about what they've been through, a lot of people, I don't know if I could have been through that. I don't know if I could have been through a lot of stuff that they've been through. You know, we see everything from the spectator view. But like you said, until you get to sit down and talk to somebody, you don't know what somebody's been through, like, you know. And then when you get to learn certain things, you're like, oh, shit, okay. I can see why this person thinks like this. Damn, this person had that kind of experience, you know.
And it puts shit into perspective, too.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I didn't have a bad life. But say I did, and you had a worse life. I'm just be like, oh, fuck. I have no reason to complain. I'm not going to bitch when I'm stuck in traffic tomorrow because Dougie had a gun to his head. You know, it's just things like that.
Yes. I mean, you know, and that's why dialogue is important, and then just being able to, you know, have conversations and stuff like that. You know, a lot of times, you know, I want to believe that people are genuine, and they're not. You know, my wife hates that about me.
That you're too genuine?
That I'm too nice. And I'm real naive. So I'll want to believe something's true knowing it's not true, but I still want to believe it. And I'll sometimes call somebody my friend, and I know they're not my friend, but I like them. And sometimes I'll look past red markers. She won't. She hits it on the nail. She hits it on here every fucking time when there's somebody who she like, I don't know about him, Doug. I don't know about him, but all right. And then I'm like, you was right.
Told you so.
You was right. Because I look at it like, I'm so nice, right? I'll give you an opportunity. Let's say somebody told me some bad shit about you. In my mind, that's just your experience. I don't know this person. This person didn't do anything to me, you know? So I'll get to know you and let you just dictate that, right? But once you cross me, I'll never fuck with you again. I'll walk smooth past you like I never knew you.
Two ships in the night.
Yeah, and I'm the kind of person where if I don't like you, I want you to know. So there's never no confusion. We'll never be out and you think that you can speak to me because you don't. I'm not going to lose any sleep. But, you know, that's why I couldn't get into politics, right? Like, you know how like if I'm debating with a politician and he brings up my criminal record and he tries to shake my hand after, I probably punch him in the face. And my campaign's over. You know what I'm saying? My campaign's over. Like, Doug's a wild dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be, but that's just who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't, certain things I just can't really look past. And, you know, once you disrespect me or once you do something that makes me feel uncomfortable and you don't respect boundaries, I clip you. Just like that. And I want you to know that because, you know, we live in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a small city, you know, so sometimes we have friends in similar circles, you know, and I have because I'm also like this too. Don't see me with somebody you don't fuck with and don't speak to me because then now I'm wondering about you because I'm going to come up and speak. I don't care who you around. I'm not speaking to that motherfucker, but I'm going to dap you up. Because I don't ever want there to be no confusion between me and you, right? If I don't come and speak to you, you might be like, yo, like, is you cool? Like, how come you ain't come and speak to me? You scared? Nah, hell no. I just didn't want to be around dude. But I'm not coming around causing no issues. I'm just coming to say, what up, bro? You know what I'm saying? How's everything? Woo, woo. And I'll move on. I ain't trying to cause no drama. Like, I do my best to avoid conflict. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, I love that people know my character enough that, unfortunately, when I've gotten into conflicts, people know that I ain't do it. I ain't started. because I'm not a bully. I used to get bullied, so I don't like bullies. You understand? So I don't do shit like that. If I put my hands on somebody, they deserved it. I don't go around doing shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But that's just how I was raised. That's also a part of my trauma, right? Learning that in my environment, that's how I grew up. You know, you disrespect me, I want to punch you in the mouth. I like to say, I'll pray for you and I'll punch you in the mouth. I'm that dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So nice of you.
but it's just to say, like, I'm a genuine person, and as long as you cool with me, I'm cool with you. But once you're not cool with me, we not cool forever. You know what I'm saying?
Would you say you're a grudge holder?
I wouldn't say I'm a grudge holder, but once I don't like you, I don't want to speak to you. I don't have no reason to speak to you.
No second chances.
Nah. Yeah, once a snake, always a snake. And it just depends on what it is, right? Certain things we can conversate about, right? Like, I mean, like, you know, people who I don't speak to, they've done things to me there's no coming back from. You know what I'm saying? They burnt that bridge and there's no coming back from that. But I like when a friend to me is someone who has a gripe and can speak on it, right? Because like I said, unless you're trying to disrespect me or trying to offend me, you can't. If you say, Doug, man, I ain't really like the way you said that to me. Oh, my bad, bro. I ain't mean to disrespect you. I apologize. You know, I was trying to motivate you. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never do it again. Like, I'm not a man, pull your fucking skirt down, bitch. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like that. You know what I mean? If I can admit when I'm wrong, you know, I have no problem doing that. I'm human. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like I said, once you do some goofy shit, if I question your trust, yeah, I'll clip you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I'll give you the shirt off my back. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, real friends will communicate. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They'll say, hey, man, can we talk? You know, I mean, no disrespect. And then say what you say. You know what I mean? I won't get offended. I need to know, right? Yeah. That's you creating a boundary with me. You know, boundaries need to be set. And that was something that I wasn't taught as a young kid. Not that my parents maliciously didn't teach it to me. You know, I don't think that they thought that it was necessary to teach me. So me and my wife talked to my kids about that, boundaries. You know, if you don't let this person know you didn't like that, they don't know you didn't like that.
They're going to keep crossing.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It sounds simple, but a lot of times it's uncomfortable. And you have to embrace that uncomfort and just say, you know what? And I tell my daughter this, that lets you know if somebody's your friend. A real friend is going to feel bad and not do it again. Someone who's not your friend, who has an ulterior motive, they're friends with you because you're popular, they'll want to hang around you. They don't want to be clipped. You know what I'm saying? And they'll figure out ways. It's just, you have to learn how to see that, you know?
Yeah. Well, we got one more thing to do, Doug. We got to arm wrestle.
We said we got to arm wrestle.
And I'm scared.
Hey, man.
Bring it this way.
Oh, that way.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. You did say that.
Mm-hmm. Just don't hurt me, man.
No, man, trust me, I'm not, because I don't want to get hurt.
I got a dance competition in a week. Said no one ever.
He's silly as hell. All
right,
so what you got?
Start when you're ready.
All right, you ready?
I want to feel the power.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, Doug. You've won a lot in life, but you've also lost in life. What's the loss that hits you the hardest?
The loss that hit me the hardest.
Am I pulling you across the table right now?
because my shirt's sliding.
Listen to the excuses.
Nah. Damn, that's a hard question to answer while I'm arm wrestling. I would have to say, I thought I almost lost my family.
How?
Bodybuilding. You know, it becomes it can consume you, because the ultimate goal is to basically be a robot 24/7. You know, and a lot of times I can unintentionally be neglectful.
Because you're so laser focused on the sport.
Yeah, you know, and bodybuilding is temporary. It's not forever. Family's forever. And I think it took a long time for me to understand that, you know, someday bodybuilding is going to be over. And you don't want to be old, miserable by yourself with some dusty ass fucking trophies. Because nobody gives a fuck what you used to look like. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody gives a shit. And, you know, there have been a lot of highs and a lot of lows. And just being transparent, it's like you have to figure it out. And I'm thankful that me and my wife are childhood friends. I met my wife in 1998. We was in middle school. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, when I say she's literally my day one, literally, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's really my best friend. Out of everybody I could say, she has to be. She puts up with my flaws, my insecurities. Like, she knows me better than anybody. And that's what marriage is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you're married to somebody and you're committed to somebody like that, you know the good, you know the bad, you know the ugly. And I ain't perfect, and I tell everybody that I don't even like that about our society. I don't like how our society puts people on pedestals as if they're perfect. You know what I mean? And then you find out something like, oh, like you're a fucking horrible person. Nah, he's a regular fucking person. All the people in jail are in jail because they made a decision. Not everybody in jail is bad. Not everybody in jail is a bad person. They made a mistake.
Bad choices.
And they have to pay for it. You know, and your past doesn't dictate your future. Just because you made a mistake doesn't mean that you can't still continue to grow and develop as a human. It may make it more difficult, but then for me, that's what makes it more gratifying. It makes it much more of a better story because of the struggle you went through and you didn't give up. You know, I've had many nights of contemplating suicide. Many. I've been in therapy now for 4 years. It's the best thing I did because there is no special time you need it. You need it all the time because you never know when you need it. And most people only go when shit's bad. You know what I'm saying? And lifting was my first therapy. I always say weight training saved a lot of lives. Saved a lot of lives. You hear me?
The gym is church for a lot of people.
Yes, iron therapy. You know what I mean? And when I got my therapist, I still wasn't right and I still wasn't perfect. Still not. I'm still growing and I'm still developing. I'm still learning, you know? But what it does is it gives me a place that I can talk about my life and I can get professional help, not someone who has a bias, right? Our friends are biased. Our parents are biased. You know, and sometimes we don't tell the full story. You know what I mean? And that helps them be more biased because we know how to manipulate and we know how to not give the full story. So then, you know, my dad's like, oh, fuck that, da-da-da. But I'm like, I didn't tell him what I did. You know what I'm saying?
You tell them what you want them to hear.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, you can't do that. You know, and, you know, bodybuilding, I love bodybuilding. I love what it did for me. I'm thankful and I'm appreciative, but I definitely lost myself a little bit. And I started to feel like I'm chasing something. You know, I've been competing 10 years straight. This year I did 3 shows because I was priming to do the Masters Olympia. That was the main show. Cool. I did the Pittsburgh because I was able to. Literally, you know, it was a time where people could come and support and see me because I'm always competing out of town because they don't have no 212 shows in Pittsburgh. And then I did the New York because it's a 212, it's right up the road. I just did the Pittsburgh and the New York was my show. You know, I didn't have to worry about weight at the Pittsburgh. I did the open. And I made weight. I placed 7th. I felt like I looked better than that. But again, it's bodybuilding, right? It's subjective, right? And then you start playing that shit in your mind, like, man, what the fuck? Like, 7th, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, all right, then I'm going hard to Japan. 4th, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And for a split moment in Japan, you know, I felt like I started questioning myself, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm not understanding, you know, I'm questioning a lot of things. And I remember my best friend's brother, who's the best man in my wedding, my brother Bill. I talked about him earlier today. See, we don't even call each other friends. We call each other brothers. Like, that's my brother. He has a younger brother named Nate. He has a daughter who's 14. And while we're in Japan, he's in Japan. And it's like, what the fuck? Of all fucking places you're at right now, you gotta be shitting me. You're not in Japan right now, bro. So I sent him a message and he gave me his number. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? I'm with my daughter. She's 14. He with his daughter. She's 14. And I was like, yo, we got to link. We got to, I mean, hang out, get a picture. And we met at one of the towers there looking over the city at night, went to go eat some pizza, took a picture. And that was a moment where I felt like God was saying, you're in the right place. Just keep going. And don't get caught up in all the hoopla. You like bodybuilding. You help people lose weight. You help motivate and inspire people. Who gives a shit if you win another fucking bodybuilding show? Yeah. You already won.
You're leaving your legacy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you already. That's why I say like so many bodybuilders like, yo, if I went to the Olympia one time, I'm retiring. Once I go, I'm done. You know what I mean? Because they also know how hard it is that once you make it to climb that ladder. What? That's why when kids, I like people to know bodybuild because you like it. Don't do it because in your mind you think you're going to be rich and famous and drive fancy cars and eat filet mignon and lobster every motherfucking day. I'm here to tell you, it ain't like that. Bodybuilding is an expensive hobby. It is an expensive hobby. And you got to pay to play. And the higher you climb, the more you got to pay to play. Period. We're all eating the same shit. We're all taking the same shit. Don't fucking matter. 1,000 ways to skin a cat. But bodybuild because you like it. If you're bodybuilding because you want to win bodybuilding shows and all of that, listen, you may find yourself getting lost in something that is hard to come back from. I've watched it, you know, I've seen it. And I started to feel like that, you know. This was the first time, like I said, in 3 years, I did 3 shows. After Japan, I didn't fuck bodybuilding. I didn't even want to think about bodybuilding. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, I need a break. My body needs a break. My mind needs a break. When you're in a prep, your mind is so hypersensitive, you know. Looking at a bodybuilder, you're like, fuck, how much does he weigh? You know, is he doing my show? I don't think like that, but other bodybuilders do because they be hitting me. Yo, what show you doing? I be like, don't worry about what show I'm doing.
Or they're scouting everyone.
Yeah, don't worry about what show I'm doing, cuz like I ain't telling you. I'm gonna just show the fuck up. That's how I like to compete. Yeah, I like to just show up. You know what I mean? And look, I'm a pro. I could do the Dubai Pro next year if I want. I could do whatever. I could compete wherever I want and live my life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm mad at myself for not traveling enough when I was younger. But at the same time, I had kids, you know, me and my wife trying to figure things out. Now we're at a place in time where we can travel and have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like going to Vancouver with her was super dope. I got pictures and videos I never shared because I don't share everything. And going to Japan with my wife was super dope. Me and my dad got lost, got left on the fucking train. We're taking a bullet train to, where was we going? Kyoto, which is 5.5 hours away from Japan. But in Japan, you can ride the bullet train and you're there in 2 hours. And it was so dope. But me and my pops, we get off to try to get something to drink. And when we turn around, the train closed and took off. What? And we're not in Tokyo. So no one speaks English. Not a fucking soul.
You're in the sticks of Japan.
What? I'm sweating. I'm hot. I'm angry. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm worried because my wife and my daughter now are by their fucking self in Japan. I'm like, oh, nah, I don't know. I'm scared. You know what I mean? But there was one of the worker guys there. He knew how to say 10 minutes. So we knew in 10 minutes another one was coming. So we just waited and we got on the next one and we met them in Kyoto. And then I was, oh, man, like even just thinking about it, it was funny as hell. But at the time, it was not funny because that was the first time I realized I'm a blip on the map right now. I'm a blip. If I need help from America, ain't happening. Ain't fucking happening. You know, and then being over there, you realize that, like, you know, nobody cares you're American. You're in Japan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in Japan. You better live by Japan rules. Because to say, I'm American, I didn't know, don't matter. Think about it. Do it matter here? Hell no. Like, if somebody from Japan's like, I didn't know I couldn't do that. We don't give a shit. You better get a translator.
Go back.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, oh, shit. You know, like, damn, like, that moment was scary because of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, fuck.
It's humbling.
I'm stranded. Like, if I had to figure out like my way back to America, I don't know if I could have did that. I don't know if I could have did it. You know what I mean?
10 minutes for what?
Man, what? Man, that shit was crazy. But man, traveling, I'm excited for it, you know, and competing still, working with Project One Nutrition, you know, working with Pat again. You know, Pat's the guy who helped get me my start, you know. For a brief time, I started something with this other gentleman. I won't say his name, but that didn't go well. And I talked to Pat, and I told Pat I didn't want to screw anything up for him, you know, because I could have told Pat, scrap it. I'll give you the money back. And that shit would have been dead. But I didn't do that. I let him keep it. I let him do whatever he wanted to do with it. I had no affiliation with it. If he made $10 million, he made $10 million. And I would have lost out. But I knew that wasn't going to happen. So I wasn't worried about that. But I was willing to take that risk. And then Pat had American Made Nutrition at the time. So they brought me on American Made Nutrition. And that was awesome. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, I was a huge fan of Seth Feroce. I used to drive my bus and watch his YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It's funny, I just told my wife the first time I met Seth was with Pat. And I remember when they had the store in Plum, I walk in and he's in there and I'm like, oh shit, like a deer in the head. Yeah, fangirling, right? Fangirling like a motherfucker. Like, but at the time, I was so into bodybuilding and he was from the area. He's from Pittsburgh. Like, you know, he was a big thing. So, you know, me, I'm, you know, I don't know shit other than he's from Pittsburgh. I'm rocking with him. You feel me? So I watched all of his training videos. I did all of that shit, right? So at my little bit of time with American Made Nutrition, they were kind of like going in a different direction. I don't know this to be true. I'm just saying what I think. Because what I thought before, I don't believe now. So, you know, I know that Pat and my homie Mike had a lot with helping me get my deal with Axe and Sledge. Looking back, because when they left, I wasn't involved in nothing.
Talking about Mike Roden?
Yeah. I wasn't involved in nothing to the point where, true story. So this was my last year there. I can't remember what month it was, but we went to Indiana and I remember John calling me. He was like, yo, man, you got anything to do this weekend? I'm like, nah, I got my kickball game on Sunday, but he needed somebody to go to Indiana with him because nobody wanted to fucking go. So what do? Nice, cool. I'll go. Yeah. I like doing that type of shit though. You know, I really do. Like, it's like tabling, you know what I'm saying? Like talking about the products, people come over and I can articulate myself. I can speak. I'm confident, you know what I mean? So, you know, and I stand by the products, you know what I'm saying? They're good quality products. So for me, I'm like, it's a win-win for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm building networking, building relationships. So I'm like, cool. So I go. But when they left, I wasn't involved in, you know, I used to be able to go up there and train. I always did a photo shoot before my show. That stopped. All that shit stopped once they left. Because I remember for the last time I went was before Vancouver. That was in 2023. And then after that, when I tried to go in Atlanta, there was excuses for it. They didn't say I couldn't. Let me rephrase that. They didn't tell me no. But
they didn't tell you yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So and then at that, I honestly believe they were going to cut me at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point, I'm like, this is our relationship's probably just come to an end. Again, I'm just being naive. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't. But I was also the only athlete who didn't sign yearly contracts. That is true. I signed one contract. That was with Pat and Mike were there. And every year I would ask John, like, yo, what's up? Do I sign another contract? And he would just give me the runaround. Then I wouldn't ask. That $1,000 would hit my account every month and commission. So I just took free shit and kept it chugging, trying to make money off commission. You know what I mean? And I let it rock. You know what I'm saying? But when I came out to speak about what happened, I learned a lot, and I'm not a air your dirty laundry type of person, so I won't ever speak on certain things. But, I was with them for 5 years. I was a really big fan of Seth, so when I became a part of the company, I found out we were the same age. And I tried to develop a genuine relationship with him, which never happened. But I could tell he never wanted to develop no relationship with me. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool. He didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to make it like that. But I figured, we're both from Pittsburgh. We're both the same age. I figured, but, that didn't happen. So I didn't care. It wasn't like a sour puss about it or nothing because I showed up at events, He never acted weird or shady around me. I always was willing to take a picture, dap me up, all of that. Like in front of me, he was cool. It was cool in the fan. You know what I'm saying? I even drove with him to New York for 6 hours. We had a great conversation. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot about him. He learned a lot about me. And, some of my feelings changed towards that because a lot of stuff I feel like was like fake. Only because certain things that were said, and it's kind of like, now I realize you wouldn't have to ask if you were that. So, when I got let go in September, I was already on a social media break because I didn't like all of the divisiveness stuff that was going on when Charlie Kirk got assassinated. I was getting real angry looking at my timeline. A lot of people were just like, it was just too much. You know what I mean? And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't a fan of him, but I was familiar with him. I followed him on TikTok because a lot of things he said made sense. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of things he said was like over the top. You know what I mean? But nobody deserves to be killed. I don't care who you are. Nobody for having different views and stuff like that. Now, if you break in somebody's house, you died, that's on you. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like certain shit you do, that's on you.
You shouldn't die because of your opinions.
Facts. I do not believe you should die because of your opinions. You're allowed to believe. If you believe the sky's purple, I don't give a fuck. If you want to slit your tongue down the middle, cut your nose off and live your life like a lizard, and you want me to call you Lizzie the lizard, I'll respect you. I don't care.
Lizzie, if you feel like you're being attacked right now, there's a Lizzie out there somewhere that's getting triggered.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't care how anybody lives their life. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about your political views. I don't care if that's another thing. Like, there's just so many labels in our country. And what makes me realize that is when I go to other countries and I have conversations with other people. We got too many labels. And today, I can call you an idiot as long as I put liberal in front of it. Yeah. Come on, man. Like, that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, you directly disrespecting people when you call people fucking morons and idiots because you won't switch the name with the real name of the person because then you might get punched in the fucking mouth and it's a different conversation. And I believe that there's a way to have dialogue and you not want to kill each other. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay to have different views because your views come from your perspective. You know what I'm saying? And they can also come from trauma. Like I said, if you was bit by a dog when you were a kid, the rest of your life, you might be like, I don't give a fuck. Oh, you got a dog? You got to put your dog up if I come over. Oh, my dog is, nope, I don't care. Now, oh, I know something's triggering. All right, I'm going to put my dog away, right? I'm respecting your boundary and you're my friend. I don't ever want you to have to worry about my dog, right? It's just simple humanity shit to me, right? And in today's world, people lack critical thinking and people lack empathy and sympathy. People just feel like, you know, no, this is how it should be, but you don't talk and communicate to nobody. You know what I'm saying? So I would say maybe about 3 or 4 days while I was on my social media break, the athlete manager, John, calls me and I can tell he's distraught. He's pissed. Unless he was acting, I don't know. But he sounded pissed. And he just was like, dude, man, I'm sorry I got to do this. When he said that, I knew what was coming. And he said, man, we got to let you go. And I'm like, wow. In the middle of the month? And I mean, I'm thinking at least I'm going to have till January. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, like.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah, facts. Like, what the fuck? So I'm like, threw me off guard. So I'm like, damn, wow. Like, what happened? He was like, we got a lot of complaints about your Facebook post. And I'm like, what Facebook post? Like, I didn't even say anything. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, I know, man. It's like, I guess they had a conversation. I don't know what went down, but I know nobody wanted to have a conversation with me. And it is what it is. So when they cut me, nobody knew because I wasn't on social media. I wasn't posting. I had already detached from it. And I'm glad I did because I probably would have said some shit.
You regret.
I wouldn't say I would regret, but I probably shouldn't have said. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of shit. And when I tell you I know a lot of shit, I know a lot of shit. I've been there for 5 years. I've been there the whole time. You know what I mean? And that's why it was interesting when Seth called me because I'm like, why the fuck would you call me, bro? You never called me. You never responded to a text message. And that's why I showed it. And for all of you all out there who like, he's mad about a text message. I was never mad about a text message. It was showing people that he's not a genuine person. If Aaron Donald is way more fucking famous than Seth Feroce and has way more fucking money than Seth Feroce, he texts me back. He'll call me back. Okay? So miss me with that weird shit. All right? I was showing people that he's not a real genuine person because if I text you happy birthday and you can't even just hit the like to like it, you saw it clearly because you called me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you called me, so I know you saw it. And then at that, right, you didn't respond to that, but then I even still sent you a happy Father's Day text because I know how he is about being a father. Right? Nothing. And it was cool. I was still on the label. I didn't press him when I seen him because why would I do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you ain't text me back. He gonna be like, man, get the fuck out my face, bro. Oh, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give, you know what I mean? So it wasn't that I was mad about it because there was a lot of people because they were talking about me in the demo group. People were calling me a racist and people were saying all type of weird, dumb shit. But that's what people do when they don't know you and they don't know your values and they don't know where you stand. You know, because I didn't delete anything off my Facebook. So if anybody wants to know what I said, you can go look at my Facebook. And I didn't champion anything that happened to him. The person who did it's a fucking coward. You don't do that to people. He's allowed to, I would have loved to debate him. He wasn't debating 40-year-old critical thinking men because we could have had very good conversation because of how I grew up and where I grew up. And a lot of things that I've learned in my childhood growing up, you know, because like I said, he makes a lot of good points with a lot of things that he says, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, he'll also say some goofy shit at the same time. So it's like, you know, you have to understand that we live in the same country and we come from two different worlds. So what he speaks on speaks to him and how his perspective on life. but that doesn't mean that it's gonna mean something to everybody else, right? It's like, you know, I love America, right? It's just, I'm American, but you'll never come in my house and see a picture of George Washington on my wall. You understand what I'm saying? And I respect him as a founding father, but he was a slave owner. If I lived in George Washington's time, it wasn't good for me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just like to remind people of that. You know what I mean? It's like we live in a free country. People can talk about Donald Trump and not be murdered and executed in front of people. Other countries, you cannot fucking do that. There are some countries you can go to and you better not violate a law. You better not. You know what I mean? So do I like everything about America? No, but everybody doesn't like everything about in whatever country they're in. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have your good, you're gonna have your bad, you're gonna have your ugly. But you know, with the way people are so divisive now, and you know, I just don't want to play a part in it. I want to be a part of the solution. I don't care if you're white, black, brown, purple, gold. I'm going to treat you how you treat me. I'm going to also listen to you. If you have a different perspective than me, I can listen to you. I don't have to judge you. You understand what I'm saying? And for them to cut me because of Facebook posts about Charlie Kirk is not American. Because if your brand is American and it's all American and everything is American, this is a free country, you know? And because with that, there's a new saying now, right? You can say whatever you want, but you can't do nothing about the consequences that come attached to it, right? So, and I understand that. And I'm glad that they did what they did because my morals and values don't align with them. And that's okay. Their morals and values don't align with me. That's okay. You know, I don't hate them. I never told anybody to not support them. I just told my side of the story because I've been there for 5 years and people wanted to know what the fuck happened. And I wasn't going to lie. I don't care if they wanted me to lie. I'm not doing that. I'm going to tell people what it is and let people decide what they want. There's some people who unfollowed me, don't like me no more. I don't care. I'm not losing any sleep. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody wanted to have a conversation with me, they could have, you know what I'm saying? And they would have, you know, understood, you know, I'll never look at you and say, you can't do something or you have a handicap because of what you look like. Sure. You can be whatever you want as long as you're willing to work hard for it and realize that there's a lot of shit that's going to come with it and you still might not get it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, like I try to teach kids now today, like growing up in Pittsburgh, you want to be a football player or you want to be an entertainer. Those are low probability jobs. But in the black community, bro, those are the jobs that we see as success. So we want those, right? A lot of us go to college because we want to play professional ball. Not a lot of us go to college because we know we can get a free education and get a good paying job and and come back to our neighborhood and rebuild our neighborhood and build some economic mobility in our neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's like coming where I come from, we want to move to Plum. Nobody wants to move to Wilkinsburg. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody wants to move to Wilkinsburg.
When I grow up.
Yeah, exactly.
I live in the hood.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, where our culture is, we have to get it back to that standpoint where we're not looking to run away. We're looking to rebuild, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do in my community. I grew up in Wilkinsburg. I work with a violence prevention program in Wilkinsburg. You understand? I want to help create change in my community. I'm in the process now of opening my gym. I have a 501c3, a nonprofit, Urban Community Lifting Academy. Be on the lookout for that soon. I'm looking for a building. And I want my gym to be a community center for nutrition, health, and wellness. And my goal is to help people not feel so uncomfortable in the gym, regardless of how old you are or where you're at in life. And it's not about being a bodybuilder. It's not about being a CrossFit person. It's not about being anything but being a better version of yourself. And I know what it feels like to walk into a gym and feel intimidated. I know what it feels like to go up a flight of steps and be out of fucking breath. I know what it feels like to not know how to get a result. And I want to help people do that. So where I'm at with my life right now and everything that I've learned, I'm so happy that I'm in this position right now with Project One Nutrition, because I'm still a bodybuilder, but I'm promoting lifestyle, health and wellness. And regardless of who you are, where you come from, or what you're into, fitness can be incorporated into your weekly activities. Whether you ride a bike, you go for walks, it does not matter. You jump rope, I don't care. You have to keep your body moving. The older you get, the more important it is for you to keep your body moving. If your body is not moving, you are slowly dying.
And in this society today, it's built around being lazy and having things delivered to you and you not having to leave the house to get shit. Like,
you ever seen my 600-pound life now? There are people, what you just said, there are people struggling with that right now. They work from home and they don't have to leave their house.
Instacart, DoorDash.
Yes, they don't have to leave their house. You know, when I worked for Port Authority, you know, I used to always tell drivers, man, like, you know, the gym's right across the yard. The majority of walking that they get is from their car into the bus. You know what I mean? And it's like, sedentary jobs are some of the most deadliest jobs because you're not being active. You're sitting down all day. And when I worked there, a lot of drivers would die right before retirement, at retirement, and right after retirement. And you think about 25 plus years of drinking Mountain Dew and Pepsi and hoagies and French fries and fucking fried chicken and every day in rotation. You know what I'm saying? And not exercising. You're killing yourself, you know, and I'm not saying that people have to go out here and try to become what I became or that you have to try to become something in the fitness industry. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you building and developing habits that will last you a lifetime, not for 90 days. You know, going to Japan, that was an eye-opening experience in regards to that. Their culture, fitness is included. They walk, they ride bikes. That's why you rarely see an obese Japanese person.
Portion sizes are half the size.
I mean, and then there aren't a lot of
better. Yeah.
Oh man, the food was on point.
Tastes different.
Everything from the fruit to the meat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They made me throw my meat away when I got to the airport. It was like, nah, you ain't bringing that shit in here. You know what I'm saying? They made me throw it away.
Make us look bad over here in America.
Yeah, it was like, no. But I mean, you know, I'm at a point in my life now where I think I have a better understanding of my next chapter, you know, because you know, like we talked on the phone, you know, I'm a pretty open book, but I'm not into being messy and bashing anybody, you know. You know, I definitely want people to, you know my story and know the truth, you know. So in regards to Action Sledge, that's literally what happened. You know, John called me, told me they were releasing me, and I wasn't on social media. So then a month later, when I come back on social media, it caused a big stir because people was like, what the fuck? What? You know what I mean? You know, and it caught them off guard, you know, and I know it caught them off guard because Seth called me. That shit was the funniest shit in the world. I was like, wow.
Did you actually talk to him?
No, I don't have nothing to say to you. Right. What can you say to me? No. Like, in my mind, the only thing I could even think that he wants to say to me is, could you please not disclose A, B, C, D? And I wouldn't ever do anything like that. You know what I mean? Because like I said, nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? We all got our shit. You know what I'm saying? And I got my shit too. So don't think that, you know, I'm shitting on him. I'm not shitting on nobody. I don't even do stuff like that, you know? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And now I'm back with Project One Nutrition. Shout out to Pat, because Pat is the man who was behind Action Sledge. So many other brands as well. I mean, Hostile, First Form, Shreds. I mean, the guy's been, he's a very
wizard,
humble,
man.
yeah, he's a very humble guy, you know, and
Christian man, good man, family
yeah, and
man.
I'm excited, you know what I'm saying? Because like I'm in a position now where, you know, I can go as far as I want to go as long as I'm willing to put in the work and be diligent and relentless in my pursuit to help him, you know, build Project One to a brand that none of us can even fathom right now.
Well, I'm on the squad, and I saw that picture of you signing your contract, and Greg put "Welcome home," right?
Yeah, yeah.
Before we close, I have a question for Kayla.
Go ahead.
As she's lurking in the darkness. So you guys have known each other for like almost 30 years now, which is crazy.
Shit.
What's the change in Doug that you admire the most beyond the physical? How has he changed the most that you admire since you've known him?
If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And that's just it.
Yeah.
And he has me to support him. So that's, if he says he's going to help Project One go, they're going to go.
Yeah.
He has an incredible mindset. And if he puts his mind to it,
He's going to do it. So if you didn't hear that, she said if he puts his mind to something, he's going to do it. And you also said you're there to support him. What do they say? Behind every successful man is a supportive spouse.
And a strong one.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for her.
Yeah.
Excuse me if I'm getting emotional, because like I said, it's different when it comes from her. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to somebody else giving me a compliment. You know what I mean? Because, you know, she knows me inside out, the good, the bad, the ugly. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I appreciate those kind words.
Yeah. Of course you want to make her proud, right? And
Hell
hearing
yeah.
that you do, that's life, man.
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, bro, thank you so much.
No,
man.
thank you. No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it, man. This was dope, man. And I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah.
You know, man, hopefully people enjoy this and get something from it, you know, and more importantly, people get to know me deeper than bodybuilding.
And that's what I said on the phone to you, Doug. Like, yes, you're a bodybuilder to most people, but you're more than just a bodybuilder. And I wanted you to be able to tell your story, and I'm glad you were able to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like one of these episodes, subscribe. It's completely free. And I will see you on the next episode of Barbells and Bourbon. Peace. That was dope, man.
Yeah, it was, man. It definitely was.